One introduction ROSEP view: the United States government was on track in the Biden administration to reduce the prices for both clean energy heat pumps and clean energy electric cars. Trump tariffs are expected to upset those plans to prevent future air pollution and prevent climate change. The United States government should, instead of certifying wood stoves as safe when they are not safe, go forward with regulations that ban wood stove use and direct government money for use of forest refuse only. For home building and furniture building, for just a few examples of use of forest products for non-burning uses, it is well known from scientific and medical research that wood burning is a substantial source of PM 2.5 emissions, yet the wood burning industry uses the scientifically debunked theory named carbon neutrality of wood burning to argue that wood burning replacing coal burning in industry, and in a trickle-down argument that wood burning should continue for home heating should continue. Presumably because it is called renewable, wood may be renewable in the sense that a tree can be planted in the place of a cut-down burned tree, but it takes centuries or decades for the newly planted tree to attain the stature of the cut-down burned tree. During those centuries or decades, photosynthesis, which converts CO2 to oxygen and so sequesters some carbon, will not take place at the same rate as photosynthesis was performed previously, and wood burning emits both CO2 and PM 2.5, and PM 2.5 is not absorbed by trees, so PM 2.5 is not diminished by planting a tree in the place of a cut-down and burned tree. In fact, a living tree closes its pores against the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning, just as humans hold their breath in the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning. And when a tree closes its pores, the level of photosynthesis that absorbs CO2 pollution goes down. Wood burning emits 90% PM 2.5 particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lungs, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. Contrary to many beliefs, wood burning emits 2.8 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel coal burning, and wood burning emits 450 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel natural gas burning. Replacing coal burning with wood burning creates more air pollution in the form of CO2 and PM 2.5 than coal burning. This emission data comes from testing the cleanest burning wood stove in the United Kingdom, the Eco-Design Wood Stove, and International Convention does not count the emissions from wood burning. The emissions from wood burning are erased from all countries around the world when calculating if each country has met its climate goals. This non-counting or erasure of wood burning emissions data from climate goals does not mean wood burning emissions do not exist. ROSEP view: purple air PM 2.5 monitors hanging from the eaves of the house of a near neighbor should be used to measure the level of PM 2.5 in the air hyperlocally in the yards of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners. If PM 2.5 levels exceed World Health Organization standards of 5 micrograms per cubic meter annually, then that evidence of air pollution from wood burning should lead to the shutdown of that indoor residential wood burning appliance, one appliance at a time if necessary.
Hi, my name is Lily. Andrew gave you the intro to residents against wood smoke emission particulates and their concern for air pollution from indoor residential wood burning. Residents against wood smoke emission particulates, or ROSEP, would like every near neighbor of an indoor residential wood burner whose wood smoke enters their yards and sickens the near neighbors to have a purple air PM 2.5 monitor hanging from the eaves of their home to measure the level of PM 2.5 entering their yards. That measurement of air pollution should be used as evidence of unnecessary air pollution, and each indoor residential wood burner should be shut down based on that evidence, one indoor residential wood burner at a time if necessary. The presentation by Andrew ended at 2 minutes 5 seconds. The same presentation by Emma starts at 2 minutes 3 seconds before the end of this podcast. So I am Lily, your timekeeper, and you can start the next podcast at 2 minutes 5 seconds in if you would not like to see the presentation by Andrew a second time. This presentation by me, Lily, ends at 5 minutes in. What you will see in the main content of this ROSEP podcast will be news about air pollution from indoor residential wood burning, and how that air pollution is being combated by ordinary people just like you who are unfortunately near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners at this time. There will also be news about unnecessary and highly polluting use of wood as fuel in industrial wood burners and preventable air pollution from wood burning wildfires. There will also be news about air pollution from PM 2.5 from gas-powered cars. There will also be news about airborne diseases which are also preventable with vaccines such as COVID-19 and measles and whooping cough, to name just a few. In 2025, residents against wood smoke emission particulates is also concerned with combating the Trump destruction of government funding for programs which protect human health through the Department of Health and Human Services, and Trump destruction of programs which fund the science and medical research plan to protect human health from preventable illnesses. Protecting human health is a patriotic act, and our defense against enemies is weakened if we are not as healthy as we can be. Heat pump rebates are now offered by the federal government, distributed through the eligible United States, are available in 2025, and are the best, cleanest, and now cheapest alternative to indoor residential wood burning if that burning is actually done to purportedly save money. Wind and solar as sources of the electricity that powers heat pumps and electric cars is also cheaper than burning wood. The adverse health effects that are caused by indoor residential wood burning also come at a cost to near neighbors, both in shortening and ending their lives, and in actual hospital, clinic, and funeral costs. Instead of being compensated monetarily, near neighbors should instead be able to achieve immediate relief by stopping indoor residential wood burning in their hyper-localized neighborhoods, which relief readings from purple air PM 2.5 monitors used as evidence of air pollution will help them achieve. Welcome to news about hopeful scientific and medical achievements that will also help us achieve the goal of clean air to breathe.
Episode 57DHXGA July 15th, 2025 California, Colorado, Maine, Massachusetts, Oregon, Canada, heat pump rebates. In episode 57DHXGA headlines from Google alerts concerning wood-burning pollution or alternatives: 1 United States, 2 California, 3 Colorado, 4 Maine, 5 Massachusetts, 6 Michigan, 7 Minnesota, 8 New York, 9 Oregon, 10 Pennsylvania, 11 South America, 12 Canada, 13 United Kingdom, 14 China. Main content. 1A United States all-electric, all-climate heat pumps help homeowners beat the heat and lower energy costs. ACHR News multi-zone heat pumps give every room its own comfort setting and help reduce wasted energy. 1B United States ambient outdoor air pollution and risk of tumors of the Central Nervous System Neurology.org 10-year mean exposure to UFPs fine particulate matter PM 2.5. Nitrogen dioxide NO2 and elemental carbon EC was associated with the risk of 1C. United States better solid-state heat pumps through Science Hackaday. There are solid-state heat pumps, the kind you see in portable coolers, for example, but they are not terribly efficient and have limited 1D United States 4-year community-wide PM 2.5 exposure characterization using a low-cost sensor. ScienceDirect.com exposure to fine particulate matter PM 2.5 from woodsmoke is a national and global public health concern. While wood heat use is increasing in the 1E United States, heat pumps could change the game. Heatmap News, a new report from the American Council for an Energy-Efficient Economy, has some exciting data for anyone. 1F United States improving PM 2.5 simulations using LSTM, a study on spatiotemporal generalization. ScienceDirect.com Develop LSTM based models for spatiotemporal PM 2.5 bias correction, meteorological and pollution inputs, and sub-region division strategy. 1G United States IoT integrated system for measuring PM 2.5 and atmospheric conditions in urban settings. AIP Publishing Particulate matter PM pollution, particularly PM 2.5, presents significant environmental and health risks, particularly in urban areas worldwide. 1H United States long-term exposure to PM 2.5 and multidimensional poverty in middle-aged and older. PubMed This study demonstrates that long-term PM 2.5 exposure increases the risk of respiratory diseases and reduces lung function, exacerbating the 1I United States. New study calls for more public awareness on wood-burning air quality. News, the GCARE study looked at indoor air quality in homes using open fireplaces and improved wood-burning stoves, burning a variety of fuel types. 1J United States Northeast US 4-year community-wide PM 2.5 exposure characterization using a low-cost sensor. ScienceDirect.com. While wood heat use is increasing in the Northeast US, exposure to wood smoke in rural valleys in this region remains understudied. Low-cost sensors. 1K United States not so clean and green. Eco wood burners are serious polluters. Energy Live News, eco-friendly wood-burning stoves might not be as clean as you think. A new study has warned that even top-rated eco-design stoves are pumping. 1L United States shop for heat pumps, green energy Consumers Alliance heat pump experts in connections with trustworthy installers. With each option, it is free to register to research heat pumps and find installers. 1M United States thousands of Americans told to keep windows shut. Newsweek reduce or eliminate activities that contribute to air pollution, such as outdoor burning and use of residential wood burning devices. The alert: 1 in United States. WebMike Homes AskMike, how does a heat pump work to heat and cool your home without any ductwork? I am not an HVAC professional, but I spoke to the experts. 2A California droughts and PM 2.5 air pollution in California. The roles of wildfires. ScienceDirect.com. Previous studies have reported that concentrations of ambient particulate matter with an aerodynamic diameter less than or equal to 2.5 micrometers PM 2.5 are elevated by 2B California. Sacramento, California thins its forest, then burns the wood. Is there a better idea? Opinion. Sacramento B. A Stanislaus National Forest crew prepares to burn some of the wood thinned from dense timber stands in November 2024 so it does not fuel. 2C California. San Jose Clean Energy urges customers to take advantage of federal news. City of San Jose SJC currently offers up to $12,000 in rebates for heat pump HVAC systems and heat pump water heaters, and up to $14,900 in rebates for adding battery. 3A Colorado wildfire northwest of Buena Vista prompts evacuations. Pre-evac notices. Denver 7 wood burning stoves and the prescribed burning of fence lines or rose ditches, fields, farmlands, rangelands, wildlands, slash piles, trash. 3B Colorado rebates are pushing some Coloradans to switch to heat pumps. Both CBS News and YouTube. A heat pump is a dual function system that provides both cooling in the summer and heating in the winter. Many homeowners opt for hybrid systems that under the rebate structure. Qualified homeowners can receive $2,250 per ton of cooling capacity if they install a cold climate air source heat pump. In a push to cut carbon emissions, Xcel Energy has increased its 2025 rebate program. For homeowners, the changes are part of the Clean Heat Plan rebate program. For homeowners, the changes are part of the Clean Heat Plan, which encourages the adoption of electric heat pump systems. 3C Colorado. How the Trump big new law will affect clean energy tax credits. Home efficiency upgrades for Summit daily. $14,000 in rebates still coming down the pike, up to $8,000 for a cold climate heat pump. For space heating or cooling, up to $4,000 for a breaker box. 4A Maine customers rush to buy solar panels, heat pumps, and EVs before federal tax credits in both Fox 23 and WGME Maine. That includes the 30% federal tax credit for residential solar projects, which is now set to expire December 31st. The new deadline comes years ahead. 4B Maine. Why does efficiency, the Maine rebate program, exclude multi-head heat pumps? WGME to move away from fossil fuels. The state is offering incentives to switch to energy-efficient heat pumps. The rebate program is administered by 5 Massachusetts. How proposed heat pump rates can save Massachusetts residents hundreds. Green Energy Consumers Alliance. Heat pumps are already the most efficient way to heat and cool a home. Still outdated electric rates mean many Massachusetts heat pump owners are 6A Michigan, when can Michigan expect relief from the wildfire smoke? WODTV.com Grand Rapids, Michigan, wood and air quality alert remains in effect across the state of Michigan through Monday, but will the smoke continue to 6B Michigan air quality alert in effect due to wildfire smoke? WODTV.com A statewide air quality alert remains in effect Monday as smoke from Canadian wildfires continues to move across Michigan. Fine air quality alert issued in Michigan due to Canadian wildfires. What you need to know, click on. Detroit use of residential wood burning devices. Tips for households: keep windows closed overnight to prevent smoke from getting indoors. 6C Michigan EGLE issues air quality alert due to wildfire smoke. Benzie County record Patriot burning and use of residential wood burning devices. People should keep windows closed overnight to prevent smoke from getting indoors. And if 6D Michigan Canadian wildfire smoke triggers Michigan air quality alert, what you need to know. Planet Detroit avoid outdoor burning and use of wood burning devices to reduce additional pollution. Keep windows closed and run air conditioning with MERV 13 or 6E Michigan Canadian wildfire smoke worsens air quality. WZM13.com. WZM13 Canadian wildfire smoke returns to West Michigan, which will bring unhealthy air quality to some into Tuesday. 6F Michigan Southeast Michigan air quality advisory for Southeast Michigan extended through all of Monday. The Detroit News Smoke in Canada. The Southeast Michigan Council of Governments said these can include outdoor burning and the use of residential wood burning. 7 Minnesota Minneapolis approves minimum of $25 e-cigarette device ordinance. KMT.com reduce or eliminate activities that contribute to air pollution, such as outdoor burning and use of residential wood burning devices. Reduce. 8 New York Con Edison heat pump customers missing out on $131 million in bill savings. EDF Environmental Defense Fund heat pumps also enhance grid flexibility by optimizing energy use during off-peak periods, allowing homes to use power when it is less busy and overall. 9A Oregon researchers make game-changing discovery that could fix dangerous issue with the cool-down. Wood burning stoves are a common way to heat homes, but they can also create dangerous levels of pollution. A group at Oregon State University, May 9, beat Oregon residents race to take advantage of new program offering $2,000 to make home upgrades to cool down. The Oregon Department of Energy received approximately 1,000 applications for its heat pump rebates within the first week of the program launch. TCD 10A Pennsylvania board tables would chip smokers' law. Lehigh Valley Press. The EPA regulations aim to reduce emissions of particulate matter and other pollutants from burning. Wood ordinance covers gas, electric, and 10B Pennsylvania burn notice. Antis Township puts fire ordinance on hold. Huntington Daily News. Burning are allowed. How long fires can last and where outdoor wood burning furnaces can be installed. One of the most debated changes includes a 11 South America carrier launches cold climate heat pump with maximum efficiency and low noise. ACHR Latino America. The company announced the update of the AHRI ratings of its Infinity Ultimate cold climate heat pump model with green speed intelligence. After 12A Canada British Columbia cool summers, clean winters, now is the time to switch to a heat pump. Wild site thanks to rebates from both the provincial Clean BC program and the BC Lung Foundation. Making the switch is easier than ever. Heat pumps are a smart. 12B Canada Manitoba. Millions of Americans advised to avoid going outside. Newsweek. Burning and the use of residential wood burning devices. They should smoke from the wildfires burning in Manitoba, preventing their 13A United Kingdom heat pumps manufacturers ready for more demand. BBC heat pump makers are ready to raise output, but demand is still sluggish. 13B United Kingdom London. The heat pump industry has raised its game, but supporting cast needs to catch up. Elemental London in his latest column Mars at the Renewable Heating Hub reports back from Installer Show 2025 on how heat pumps have taken center stage, but argues 13C United Kingdom how wood burning and eco stoves pose serious health risks by causing dangerous indoor. Both MSN and Daily Mail would kiln dried wood and wood briquette and smokeless coal. A new study has revealed wood burning stoves can release harmful pollutants into your home. 13D United Kingdom. Surrey people are being warned about the hidden dangers of using wood burning stoves. Radio Jackie people are being warned about the hidden dangers of using wood burning stoves. And even modern eco-friendly models. A University of Surrey study. 14A China long-term exposure to PM 2.5 and multidimensional poverty in middle-aged and older. BMC Public Health. Biomed Central. We utilize data from 3 waves of the China Health and Retirement Longitudinal Study and estimated annual average particulate matter PM 2.5. 14B China multi-scale applicability assessment of PM 2.5 datasets in Chinese urban agglomerations. ScienceDirect.com. A high-resolution spatiotemporal PM 2.5 dataset is essential for the analysis of the spatiotemporal patterns and large-scale particulate matter. Episode 57DHXGA July 15th, 2025. How can I get clean energy tax breaks before they vanish? Most of these July 15th, 2025 New York Times headlines are self-explanatory and explain themselves. The following are extended explanations of 3 of the headlines. 2 New York Times headlines, July 15th, 2025 main content. New York Times headlines with extended explanations. 1A Democrats are workshopping new tactics after losses of 2024. The New York Times. 1B Trump and climate change, how to get clean energy tax credits before they are phased out. The New York Times. 1C Trump and RFK Jr. versus medicine and science. Do doctors profit off vaccines? Fact-checking. The RFK Jr. claims. The New York Times explanation. 1A Democrats are workshopping new tactics after losses of 2024. Among the ideas being promoted, knocking on every single door in a House district and awarding cash prizes for the most effective new ways to reach voters. Door knocking. Both where to do it and whether it is still effective in a digital age is being studied by Democratic strategists to identify what went wrong in 2024. Excerpts edited for brevity and clarity by Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The New York Times. July 15, 2025. Some Democratic groups chafed at the dominant financial position that Future Forward held in aiding the Democratic presidential ticket in 2024. Future forward, and its aligned nonprofit raised over $900 million during the election cycle, much of which went to television ads that were heavily tested for their effectiveness. Priorities USA is funding 3 pilot programs focused on digital advertising this fall. One, called Nest, gathers data from sources like podcast transcripts and online comments to try to make ads more timely and appealing. Another is focused on building new audiences of potential voters to target on YouTube, an outgrowth of discovering that watchers of politically right-coded content were more influenced by Democratic messaging than any other cohort. The third aims to use search tools on social media platforms like TikTok and Instagram to reach younger voters. The 3 programs will be tested in North Carolina, Virginia, and Pennsylvania, which host a closely watched race for 3 state Supreme Court seats this November. A Democratic focus on digital ads was overdue. As a party, when we allocate money to digital, we are still treating it like an extension of television or an extension of field or an expansion of mail. We are going to put all of our eggs in the basket of how are people consuming content on the internet. 1B, how can I get clean energy tax breaks before they vanish? There is still time to claim credits that could save you thousands of dollars. Excerpts edited for brevity and clarity by Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The New York Times, July 15, 2025. If you were thinking about putting solar panels on your roof, buying an electric car, or making your home more energy efficient, time is quickly running out to take advantage of federal tax breaks that could be worth thousands of dollars. Most of those credits are getting phased out this year under the policy bill signed into law by President Trump. Here is what to know about the federal tax breaks and how to get them while you can. We have also got tips on related programs that should be sticking around for longer. 1B, heat pumps. Electric heat pumps in particular have received a lot of attention as an efficient, climate-friendly way to heat and cool homes. But whether a heat pump will lower your energy bills can be complicated. Experts say if you are currently heating your home with fuel oil or electric resistance, heat swapping in a heat pump will usually help save money. If you need to replace your central air conditioner anyway, it may be worthwhile to pay slightly more for a heat pump that can both cool in the summer and provide heat in the winter. But if you heat your home with natural gas, as many Americans do, a heat pump could either increase or decrease your bills. Note that the tax credit can also be used to defray up to $600 of the cost of buying more efficient gas-burning appliances. This calculator, an electrification planner from Rewiring America, can help you figure out what upgrades might save money and what incentives might be available. What if I missed the deadlines? If you miss out on the clean energy and efficiency credits, it is not the end of the story. There are other programs out there. Congress in 2022 also provided $1 billion to states to set up 2 different home energy rebate programs. Republicans did not repeal either of those programs, which will remain in place until the money runs out. The first program, focused on electrification, provides rebates to families making less than 150% of their local median income. These can be worth up to $8,000 for an electric heat pump, $1,750 for a heat pump water heater, $840 for an induction stove, and $2,500 for upgrading electric wiring. The second program, focused on efficiency, potentially provides thousands of dollars in rebates for upgrading space heating, cooling, insulation, and water heaters to all households, with greater incentives available to families making less than 80% of their local median income. To date, every state but South Dakota has agreed to set up rebate programs, although only about a dozen states have them up and running so far. Many state and local governments will also continue to offer their own incentives. In Vermont, some utilities provide rebates of up to $3,200 for electric vehicles. States like Nevada and Georgia have money for low-income households to adopt solar power. Massachusetts has a program that helps homeowners install heat pumps or efficient lighting. You can find a list of state programs here. Rewiring the Calculator of America includes more than 4,000 local incentives. 1B2 home energy upgrades. A separate tax credit to help make homes more energy efficient is also expiring after December 31st, 2025. If you want to upgrade your insulation, replace your doors or windows, swap out your furnace with an electric heat pump, or switch to a more efficient water heater, now is the time. The energy efficient home improvement credit covers up to 30% of the costs of efficiency improvements each year. The maximum you can claim is $2,000 for qualified heat pumps or water heaters, plus an additional $1,200 for certain upgrades to windows, doors, or insulation that meet Energy Star or other standards. Note that you cannot use this deduction if you do not owe enough on your tax returns. These measures can lead to significant savings. In 2023, more than 2.3 million families used the credit and saved an average of $130 per year on their energy bills, according to the American Council for an Energy Efficient Economy, a nonprofit research organization. 1B3 electric vehicles. If you are interested in an electric vehicle, you would need to buy or lease the car by September 30th to claim a federal tax credit that is worth up to $7,500 for new vehicles or $4,000 for used ones. A critical first step is to find a car dealer that is registered with the Internal Revenue Service to claim the credit. Here is a map of registered dealers which can use the tax break to directly reduce the purchase price of a car at the point of sale, so that you do not have to wait for a refund on your return next year. Buying new. If you are buying a new electric vehicle, the car needs to have been made in the United States and cost less than $55,000 or less than $80,000 for SUV and pickup trucks to qualify for the $7,500 credit. Here is a list of the 2 dozen or so eligible vehicles. The new vehicle credit is available only to individual buyers earning $150,000 or less, and to couples earning $300,000 or less. Buying used. If you are buying a used electric vehicle, the car must cost $25,000 or less and be at least 2 years old to qualify for the $4,000 credit. Here is a list of eligible vehicles. The used vehicle credit is available to individuals earning $75,000 or less, and to couples earning $150,000 or less. Leasing can be a great option if you are not sure about the technology. If you want to install an electric vehicle charger at home, the federal tax break that can cover up to 30% of costs. does not expire until June 30th, 2026, but if you need to upgrade your electrical panels to accommodate the charge of the tax break for doing so expires on December 31st, 2025. Not ready to buy an electric vehicle now. Many states like California, Colorado, Illinois, and New York will continue to offer their own rebates potentially worth thousands of dollars in the years ahead. Some electric utilities also run programs to defray charging costs. Roughly 1 million used electric vehicles are also expected to come off lease over the next 3 years, creating a boom in the secondhand market. We expect there will be some great deals to be had. 1B4 rooftop solar. If you want to buy rooftop solar panels or a home battery for backup power, you will need to have them installed this year to claim a tax break worth 30% of costs. If you want to lease a system, you have more time. Home solar systems can cost around $30,000, so start by calculating whether it is a good investment. If you decide to go solar, note that the new law is ambiguous on whether you need to pay for the system by December 31st or have it fully operating by then. To meet the tax deadline, it is safer not to wait until the last minute, since it can take a month or two for installers to receive the necessary approvals, and for electric utilities to make any inspections or grid upgrades you might only have until October or November because of the time frames to install. So people really need to act now to make sure there is a longer window to lease a rooftop solar system in which a third party owns the panels and the homeowner pays a monthly fee. Ideally, saving money on power bills, solar leasing companies can use a different investment tax credit that will not expire until at least the end of 2027 and possibly longer, depending on how tax guidance from the Treasury Department shakes out. 1C Kennedy claims doctors profit off vaccines. In fact, many lose money on them. Experts said the remarks of the health secretary send a dangerous message. Do not trust your physician. Excerpts edited for brevity and clarity by Residents Against Wood Smoke Emission Particulates, a 501c3 nonprofit organization. The New York Times, July 15, 2025. In the interview with Tucker Carlson, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said research had shown that 50% of revenues to most pediatricians come from vaccines. The economics of vaccines are far more complicated in the United States. Providers buy about half of vaccines directly from manufacturers. This is often one of the largest financial liabilities a practice takes on, second only to staff salaries. A vial may cost anywhere from $10 to several $100s, depending on the vaccine. The practices only recover that money once they administer shots, which allows them to bill the insurance of the patient for the price of the vaccine. Insurers also pay clinics an administration fee, which is supposed to cover the extra costs associated with being a vaccine provider, such as staff and supplies. However, that fee often does not cover routine expenses, let alone unexpected costs. A female doctor said she once lost dozens of refrigerated vaccine vials after a power outage. The other half of vaccines administered in the United States are supplied to doctors for free through Vaccines for Children, a federal program that covers shots for the poorest children in America. While clinics do not pay for vaccines themselves, they still spend money to administer them, and immunizations provided through the program are eligible for an even smaller administration fee. I do not think anyone is out there making money on vaccines. Experts also said that the Kennedy claim about huge bonuses was misleading. About half of pediatricians have value-based contracts with insurers, which pay them a flat fee for hitting a number of healthcare metrics. A vaccination rate for a doctor is just one of dozens of measures. The payments are often modest, accounting for just a small share of what insurers pay to a given clinic. The Kennedy statements misrepresent the motivations of pediatricians, many of whom have willingly gone into one of the lowest paid medical specialties, and even if providers were solely focused on income, it would not make financial sense to encourage vaccination. If we were motivated by profit, we would make more money treating the complications of preventable diseases than by preventing them in the first place, he said. 2 New York Times headlines, July 15, 2025. Democrats must toughen up against Trump, Obama tells donors. The New York Times. Democrats are workshopping new tactics after losses of 2024. The New York Times. Medicine and Science. Physical therapist dies inside hyperbaric chamber after it catches fire. The New York Times. Medicine and Science. Murder charges are brought in. Death of 5-year-old boy in hyperbaric chamber. The New York Times. Trump and RFK Jr. versus medicine and science. Do doctors profit off vaccines? Fact checking. The RFK Jr. claims. The New York Times. New York mayoral race. 21 questions about the NYC mayoral race answered. The New York Times. New York mayoral race. Mamdani prepares to meet with wary business leaders of New York City. The New York Times. Trump actions and economy. Student loan repayments are about to look very different. The New York Times. Trump budget cuts to fund tax breaks for the rich federal workers and their emotional roller coaster. Fired, rehired, fired again. The New York Times. Trump budget cuts to fund tax breaks for the rich. Dismissals at Justice Department would bypass civil service and whistleblower laws. The New York Times. Trump and climate change. How to get clean energy tax credits before they are phased out. The New York Times. Trump and climate change. Flash floods fill NYC subway station. The New York Times. Trump and the economy opinion. If you like 35% inflation, go ahead, fire the Fed chair. The New York Times. Trump budget cuts to fund tax breaks for the rich. The last ditch fight of PBS and NPR to save funding. The New York Times. Trump and climate change. 2 dead after heavy rain swamp roads and rails in New York region. The New York Times. Trump and Epstein files. What to know about the fallout around the Epstein files and the Trump administration. The New York Times. Trump tariffs. Trump adds 17 tariff on tomatoes from Mexico. The New York Times. Trump tariffs. CPI shows U.S. inflation sped up in June as the Trump tariffs pushed up prices. The New York Times. Trump tariffs and economy. J.P. Morgan, Wells Fargo, and Citi report solid earnings despite Trump tariff risks. The New York Times. Canada and Trump opinion. He is nuts. Your Trump. Canada unites against America. The New York Times. Europe and Trump. EU nations plan retaliatory tariffs against Trump and U.S. What would they do with the New York Times? Italy. How to panic Italians jack up the price of espresso. The New York Times. Ukraine. What we know about the U.S. deal for a weapons pipeline to Ukraine. The New York Times. Ukraine. The Trump shift on Ukraine is good news for Europe for now. The New York Times. Ukraine opinion. The Trump zigzags on Ukraine and Russia. The New York Times. Cat's corner strategy with Tiger and Leone. Saying the quiet part out loud. Roar. Hi, I am Tiger. Our human asked us to get up from our naps and start Cat's corner strategy with Tiger and Leone. She gave us a list of internet allies which we will post for her here.
Hi. I am Leonie. It is better for your mental fitness to go to these websites than to go to bro sites for advice. Substack letters from an American Heather Cox Richardson. Substack your local epidemiologist. The Midas Touch. The Guardian. The New York Times.
One introduction. Rosette view. The United States government was on track in the Biden administration to reduce the prices for both clean energy heat pumps and clean energy electric cars. Trump tariffs are expected to upset those plans to prevent future air pollution and prevent climate change. The United States government should, instead of certifying wood stoves as safe when they are not safe, go forward with regulations that ban wood stove use and direct government money for use of forest refuse only for home building and furniture building. For just a few examples of use of forest products for non-burning uses, it is well known from scientific and medical research that wood burning is a substantial source of PM 2.5 emissions, yet the wood burning industry uses the scientifically debunked theory named carbon neutrality of wood burning to argue that wood burning replacing coal burning in industry, and in a trickle-down argument that wood burning should continue for home heating should continue. Presumably because it is called renewable, wood may be renewable in the sense that a tree can be planted in the place of a cut-down burned tree. But it takes centuries or decades for the newly planted tree to attain the stature of the cut-down burned tree. During those centuries or decades, photosynthesis, which converts CO2 to oxygen, and so sequesters some carbon, will not take place at the same rate as photosynthesis was performed previously, and wood burning emits both CO2 and PM 2.5, and PM 2.5 is not absorbed by trees, so PM 2.5 is not diminished by planting a tree in the place of a cut-down and burned tree. In fact, a living tree closes its pores against the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning, just as humans hold their breath in the presence of PM 2.5 from nearby wood burning. And when a tree closes its pores, the level of photosynthesis that absorbs CO2 pollution goes down. Wood burning emits 90% PM 2.5 particulate matter of 2.5 micrometer size, the perfect size to infiltrate the human lung, setting off a cascade of human health problems and early deaths. Contrary to many beliefs, wood burning emits 2.8 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel coal burning, and wood burning emits 450 times the PM 2.5 as the fossil fuel natural gas burning. Replacing coal burning with wood burning creates more air pollution in the form of CO2 and PM 2.5 than coal burning. This emission data comes from testing the cleanest burning wood stove in the United Kingdom. The Eco-Design Wood Stove International Convention does not count the emissions from wood burning. The emissions from wood burning are erased from all countries around the world when calculating if each country has met its climate goals. This non-counting or erasure of wood burning emissions data from climate goals does not mean wood burning emissions do not exist. Rosette view. Purple air. PM 2.5 monitors hanging from the eaves of the house of a near neighbor should be used to measure the level of PM 2.5 in the air hyperlocally in the yards of near neighbors of indoor residential wood burners. If PM 2.5 levels exceed World Health Organization standards of 5 micrograms per cubic meter annually, then that evidence of air pollution from wood burning should lead to the shutdown of that indoor residential wood burning appliance, one appliance at a time if necessary.